Hi, I'm Rob, and in this video I'm going to show you my drop-down pedal system I made for the retro shooter gun system and PC. Several advantages to a system like this, which I'll go over in a minute, but I've got future videos coming up on how I made this system, how I made retro shooter a pretty much wire-free system as well, because it is absolute wire mayhem ordinarily, and other stuff besides, including my first retro shooter review, because it's not all the good things about this system. It is 95% good. There are a few points as well which I don't think anybody's ever mentioned before in other retro shooter reviews, which I do think need mentioning, so I'll be bringing them up as well. So bash that like and subscribe button if you want to see that. But back to this drop-down pedal system and why I think it gives several advantages to just having them loose. If you have them loose, you have to tuck the wires away if you don't want to mess anywhere, and just pull them out when you want to use them, have them wherever you're going to use them, and then basically they can move. Because when you're playing it, you've got your foot on them and you're playing, you can have them slide or move slightly or just twist around a bit. And you don't want to have to keep paying attention to the pedal possibly moving. It's like, it's going to distract you from the game, which you don't want. So having them fixed in place is a really good idea. Now, I did do a Mark 1 version of this. I had them both on individual drop-down things at first, but I didn't like it at all. I completely abandoned that one because it looked messy, it was a bit clunky. I didn't like the overall look of it. And my system is getting a little bit busier anyway. I've now got a PS4 and a PS3 implemented into this system at the same time. So it's looking a bit busy under there, and I didn't want it looking any more clunky, and it just didn't work. So I created this system here with basically a whole panel covering up the rest of the stuff when it's not in use. So it acts as a cover at the same time, which is really, really cool. And the whole thing drops down and it keeps you naturally away from the screen as well, at the correct distance. This is really, really important. Got a friend who comes over and he plays, and it really cracks me up. It makes me laugh because he'll start here in the right position, and as we're playing, and he sort of creeps forward like this as you play. So literally, I'm not kidding, he's like about that far from the gun, from the screen, and it's like, mate, you need to come back a bit. It's like to the correct position. This naturally keeps you the correct amount away from the screen, because even though you're not always pressing the pedal, like if you don't use the pedals in a game, you can just use the guns and have it in the closed position and just shoot away like normal. But I still like it to have it down because it gives you a border. It naturally keeps you the correct distance away from the screen. Your foot, you're not going to stand on it when you're playing, and if you did, I'd give you a slap. But then it keeps you naturally away from the screen. It's like the darts hockey, and of course, because they're fixed, they don't actually move anywhere, which is really, really nice. You can play quite vigorously, knowing that they're just not going to budge at all, which is really, really good. Now, position-wise, I did actually place these quite close and side by side, as you can see, and that is for a particular reason. If for whatever reason you prefer them further apart, like more evenly distanced between the sides of the wood, then absolutely fine. But for me, this gives me just scope to just play around a little bit more with my games. If I'm going to play one player, I can use either foot on the left-hand pedal. At my leisure, I can use whichever foot I want. Really, really cool. If a mate comes over, I can just stand to this side of the system, use my right foot on the left pedal, play if I'm in the right place. A mate could stand to this side and use his left foot on the right pedal, and we're not going to get in each other's way. But if I want to go a bit mad and decide I can do two guns at the same time and operate both foot pedals at the same time, I can do that. Now you may be looking at those little metal plates wondering what they're all about. Well, they are a second storage option. Ordinarily, I do like the guns as they are in the holsters. I think they look neat, looks pretty cool, and it's very easy to play. When you put this system away, it pulls up, it does pull in, but it's not quite flush. It does stick out slightly. I don't mind it. The little angle creates a bit of sort of style about the system, but I don't like the gap. So what I did was add a second storage option. There's small metal plates attached to the guns, and they are magnetic plates attached to the base. So when I've finished, if I like, I can actually put the guns on the base. They hold pretty securely, lift the base up, and it goes completely flush and looks really neat and tidy. Right, so after all that, you probably think I'm completely satisfied with this system. But I'm not. I'm only about 90% satisfied. I'm a fussy git, and I seek perfection on pretty much everything that I do. Some of those things are just purely cosmetic. It needs a little bit of paint here, a little bit of filler there, and it's all good. But it's the soft fall, the soft drop mechanism, which I'm not entirely satisfied with. Those hydraulic bars on the end, I thought would do a softening mechanism, let it drop slower, but it doesn't really. Slows it down a bit, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted something not far off, like remember those old soft eject cassette decks we had as a kid? If you're old enough to remember them, then you pressed eject and it just opened slowly and smooth and looked really cool. I want to be able to just flip this and let it just drop down smoothly and slowly. But I couldn't find anything which actually done that. They must exist. I don't know if they're called soft fall or soft drop or whatever, but I looked. I just couldn't find anything which actually done what I wanted it to do. So if you're a company out there, if you make them, if you know anybody that actually creates that sort of product, then hit me up in the comments, give me an email, send me some. I don't mind, I'll implement into this absolutely straight away. And yeah, I hope the video gets 1 billion views for helping me out. But yes, that's ultimately what I want. So it's there, but not quite there yet at the same time. So there it is, there's a video on my drop-down pedal system I made for retroshooter and PC. So if you enjoyed this video, found it useful or helpful, it'd be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button. That really does help. And feel free to share the video too. I absolutely massively appreciate it when people do that, because that really does help out the channel. But more videos coming on retroshooter in the future, including my first ever full review. It is 95% good with this system, but there are a few things which I don't think anybody's actually mentioned before on the bad side of things, which I do think are important to mention, and I'll be mentioning them in my full review coming soon. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Bye for now.